Hello everyone. So I hope everyone is doing great and we are back with another tutorial video. And this video is going to be a tutorial video on Snowflake where we will be talking about how to create database objects in Snowflake. So let's quickly jump into the video. So in this video we will be covering the following points. We will see how we can create database objects, and by database objects I do mean databases, schemas and tables. We will see how we can create database objects from the Snowflake interface itself and also using SQL commands inside of Snowflake. So you can guess that this will be a complete hands-on video, and it will be a short video. So let's get started quickly. So first I will log into my Snowflake account. I will go into my incognito window, type in the URL for logging into my Snowflake account, and I've already created a video on how to log into your Snowflake account. So if you're new in the process of learning Snowflake, you can go and watch that video. It will be a little helpful for you. So we have to feed in our username and then the password. Once done, click on this sign in button. Okay, so I'm logged in into my Snowflake interface. So let's get started. So first we will see how we can create the database objects from the Snowflake interface itself. So for doing that, we will have to move into the data. So if you move into your left hand side of the screen, you will see a bunch of options like worksheets, dashboards, data, marketplace, activity, etc. So this third one, the data option, just click on this. And once you click on this, you will get a list of the databases that are already present inside your Snowflake account. And now if you come to the right topmost corner of your screen, you will see a button, a clickable button that says plus database. So I'll go ahead and do that, plus database. So now in here, I have to give the name of the database that I'm trying to create. So I'll just give in a database name my test db. Comment is optional. You can type it or skip it for test purposes. And once done with the name, just click on this create button. So now we can see that the database that I just created, my test db, it is showing in here. Now how we can create schemas inside of a database. So schemas are database objects that reside inside a database. So to create schemas inside a database, just click on this database, and once inside the database, once again we have to move to the top rightmost corner of our screen, click on this plus schema button, and it will give the option to type in the name and comment. Once again, just give a name and comment too. And once done, just click on this create this managed access button. We will see when we talk about access control inside of Snowflake, but for now just click on this create button. It says that schema has been created. Now if you click on the schemas list, you will see a list of the schemas. So this public and information schema are created by default whenever you create any database. And this is the schema, my test schema, that I have created just now. Okay, now let's see how we can create tables inside of database, inside of schemas. So for that, we have to go inside of this schema that I've just created. I will create my table inside this schema. So I'll click on the schema, and here you get a drop down button. So let's click on this drop down button and see whatever the options that we have. So here we can see that we get a lot more options, like we can create tables, we can create views, stages, storage integration objects, we can create file formats, sequence, pipes, streams, tasks, functions, and stored procedures. So from here we get to create lots and lots of things, but for now we'll just keep our focus on creating tables. So I'll hover over this table button, and here we can see that we get three options: the standard, if we want to create table as select, or if we want to create an external table. For now, let's just keep things simple and click on the standard option. So once you click on the standard option, you get a prepared SQL syntax to create a table. So let's just follow along. So what it says here is that create table, and then you have to give the table name, and then you have to give the column name and the column type. So first let's give in the table name. So I'll just name as at my test table, and column, let's suppose I just want to have a single column which is name, and the column type I want to be of string. So I'll just type string, and once done I will just click on this create table button that is present on the top rightmost corner of the screen. Just click on this create table button, and we can see, if you hover onto your screen, onto the middle portion of your screen, we can see that we have the table my test table under the tables option inside of my test db that I have just created. Okay, so this was how we can create database objects from the Snowflake without using any kind of SQL. So now let's see how we can create, if I want to suppose create database objects from SQL commands, how we can do that. So for that I will just hover over this. If you move into the left portion of your screens, you will see few options like worksheets, dashboards, etc. So just click on this worksheets, and I will just create a new worksheet by clicking on this plus button. It will give me three options. I will choose SQL worksheet. So there is a new worksheet in front of our screen. So let's see how we can create schemas, database and tables using SQL. So to create a Snowflake database, the syntax is quite simple. It goes by the format create or replace database and the database name. So for this, I will give the database name test db1, and let's just go and run this command. So it says in the status that database test db1 has successfully created. So let me just quickly refresh this. So if I refresh, I can see that we have a database created with the name of test db1. So this public and information schemas are two schemas that are present by default whenever we create any table. We'll discuss that in the consequent lectures. What is this public and what is this information schema? Now let's suppose I want to create a schema inside of my database test db1. So for that, I will just go ahead and select my test db1 from this drop down. You can see that there is an option where the database name is being displayed. So just click on this drop down. From here you can select test db1. Okay, so test db1 is selected. Now to create a schema, also the syntax is pretty much the same. Create or replace schema test schema1. So let's go ahead and run that. So it says that schema has successfully created. I'll just quickly go and refresh this. And after refreshing, I can see that the test schema1 is also created. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create the table inside of my test schema. So the syntax to create a table is also pretty much the same as other database objects. We have to use the keywords create or replace table and then specify the table name. And after that, we have to specify the columns that we want inside of my table. So I'll just quickly drag this down. So for columns, let's suppose this time I want to have 3 columns inside my table with name, and the column type for name would be string separated by comma, and then address. Address will also have the column type of string, and then designation. This will also be of type string. So once we have entered our column names along with the types of all the columns, we'll just highlight this command and click on this run button. Alternatively, you can also do a control enter to run any command. So let me just go ahead and run that. Okay, so it says in the status that table test table is successfully created. Let me just quickly refresh this. So I have refreshed it, and inside of my test db1, I'll go into the test schema1, and here click on this tables, and we can see that the test table is created. Okay, so we have created the table also from the SQL commands. So this was easy, right? We learned how we can create database objects from the Snowflake interface and using SQL commands in both the ways. So I'll quickly jump onto my tutorial back. So we have seen how to create database objects, database schemas and tables from the Snowflake interface and using SQL commands. Okay, so with that we come to an end to this lecture, and in the next video for Snowflake tutorial we will see how we can load data inside of my Snowflake table from files, from any file that is present in my AWS S3 bucket. So that will also be a pretty interesting lecture. So just stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.